Good afternoon, students. I hope you are doing fine in your place. Currently, I am at Velo, around 140 kilometers away from Chennai, from my father's treatment. So that's why I was unable to provide you my lecture video in due time. Right now, I just returned around 5:22 p.m. I don't know how much time it will take to upload. So please cooperate with me, and after this video, I am about to create that Google Doc form so that you can provide your feedback. So in my previous video I have completed and concluded uh, Beloved by Toni Morrison. You didn't ask any question and I gave you that opportunity, but since you didn't ask anything from that novel, I assume that it's clear to you. So right now our topic is Katharine Mansfield. Actually, the name of that short story is The Fly. Please ignore any noises which is coming from my background. I'm staying in a hotel, so can't find a quieter place here. So where it is, Katharine Mansfield. So she was born in the year 1888, 14th October, and she died in 1923, 9th January. She was a prominent modernist writer who was born and brought up in New Zealand. I hope you remember Kane Williamson. Is the captain of New Zealand cricket team. Yes, he belongs to her country. She wrote short stories, poetry under the pen name Katharine Mansfield. So originally her name was this, Katharine Mansfield Mary, and her pen name was this. So when she was 19, she left colonial New Zealand. I will be explaining these two words, modernist and this colonial. So first, colonial. The word colonial is familiar to you. Why it is familiar? Because we ourselves were under the British colonial rule. So does New Zealand also. She left New Zealand and settled in England, where she became friend of, see the names here, the big shots, D.H. Lawrence, Virginia Woolf, Lady Ottilie Morrell, and others. Another word I would like to describe is Bloomsbury group. And Mansfield was diagnosed with pulmonary tuberculosis in 1917 and she died in France, aged 34. Do you know any other literary person who died out of tuberculosis? His name is none other than Keats. Okay, so though I explained that the word colonial, and now I'm about to explain this particular word modernist. What modernist does mean? Literary modernism or modernist literature. I'm actually staying over fifth floor. It's pretty much high. The wind is pretty much strong over here. The window panes are making noises. Please excuse me for that. So literary modernism or modernist literature, it originated in the late 19th and the early 20th. So this is the time frame. Mainly where? Mainly in these two places, Europe and North America, and is characterized by a self-conscious break with traditional ways of writing. Yep. So variety is the spice of life. So in case of literature also, every time, in every century, there were literary figures, writers, poets, novelists, anyone who contributes towards literature. They always try to create something new. There are three types of writer. The first one will accept tradition. and he will copy it and will continue it. And the second one will reject tradition and try to create a new. And the third category, which is the highest, is those writers accepting traditions and trying to create something new based on that tradition. So there was always a movement, there was always like a flow, it's like a flow of current which is going in every century in the history of English literature to self-conscious break with traditional ways of writing, both in poetry and prose frictions. Modernists experimented with literary form and expression. Yes, form and expression. How, what should be the format and how they will be expressed. Now that is actually exemplified by this character Ezra Pound. Ezra Pound is associated to this character also. His name is T.S. Eliot. He is the person who edited T.S. Eliot's work. So pretty much big name actually. So the literary movement was driven by a conscious desire to overturn traditional modes of presentation and express the new sensibilities. The two things you should know here: modes of representation, the new sensibilities of their time. Another thing happened there at that time, that is First World War, which changed the way think it was. The horror, the destruction, the killings, it actually changed one thing, and the word is attitude. How you look at certain things, that was completely changed. So the prevailing assumptions about society reassessed, and much modernist writing engaged with the technological advances. Yes, World War One and World War Two, maybe it will be described always as a brutal execution of humankind, but it will always driven the era of technological advances. And yes, another thing is societal changes of modernity moving into the 20th century. So this is a very brief idea about modernism. I tried to explain it in few words. You can use this website, you can see it clearly. I am using Wikipedia, trusted one. There are subgenres also. These are the subgenres of this particular modernism: imagism, symbolism, vorticism, expressionism, futurism, surrealism, acmeist poetry, dada. So these are the subgenres. So if you are interested in that, you can check all those details which is available over here. It's up to you, but for me, I think I pretty much explained the thing which I was supposed to. So that was modernism. And this one is Bloomsbury group. What it is, sorry, I need my net connection over here. Bloomsbury group, this one. Let us find it. Who is this? What is this? Oops, my bad, internet is gone. I hope it will come back again. Yes, it is. Yes, here it is. The Bloomsbury group or Bloomsbury set was a group of associated English writers, intellectuals, philosophers, and artists in the first half of the 20th century. And the names are Virginia Woolf, John Maynard Keynes, E.M. Foster, Lytton Strachey. This loose collective of friends and relatives was closely associated with the University of Cambridge and for the men and King's College of London for the women. And they lived, worked, and studied together near Bloomsbury. This is actually a place, Bloomsbury, London. According to Ian Housby, I have a book of Ian Housby, edited the book, Wordsworth Companion to English Literature. You can check it out. It's pretty much the same thing, Oxford Companion to English Literature, edited by Margaret Drabble. The Oxford Companion to English Literature is a heavy stuff. This one is a bit lighter. So, come back to the point again. Ian Housby, although its member denied being a group. The interesting fact about this group is they denied. Although its members denied being a group in any formal sense, they were united by abiding belief in the importance of arts. Yeah, they denied any sort of group, but they were united by an abiding belief in the importance of arts. Their works and outlook deeply influenced literature, aesthetics, criticism, economics, and some modern attitude towards feminism, pacifism, sexuality, etc. So this is what Bloomsbury Group is. Now, let us go back to Katharine Mansfield's life. We will focus on her career, what happened actually. This one, impact of World War I. Mansfield's life and work were changed by the death of her younger brother. The story we are about to read, The Fly, as a mention of two deaths. So, even when we go through that story, you will realize how this incident is going to leave an impression on that story. And his name was Leslie Beauchamp, known as Shami to his family. In October 1915, he was killed during a grenade training. So he was actually preparing himself during a grenade drill, or training drill. He was killed. So he was serving the British Expeditionary Force in Ypres salient Belgium, and yes, there is a reference of Belgium also in that short story, Fly. Aged only 21, she began to take refuge in nostalgic reminiscences of their childhood in New Zealand. This one, remember this one, reminiscence of his childhood, of their childhood. You will find that in the story also. So, in a poem, she described, she had whatever she is experiencing, she explained that. So at the beginning of 1917, Mansfield and Murray separated, though he continued to visit her at her new apartment. Ida Baker, Mansfield often called with a mixture of affection and disdain. Her wife moved with her shortly afterwards. So these are the things which was happening then. Diagnosis of tuberculosis, December 1917. She was only 29 at that time and diagnosed with pulmonary tuberculosis. Back in those days, tuberculosis was notorious and she could not bear it. Many people didn't bear it. And she went to Paris to have a controversial X-ray treatment from Russian physician Ivan Manukhin. Treatment was expensive and plus it has some unpleasant effects. Back in those days they were not really aware about the radiation and other things. So ultimately she died out of tuberculosis, but this one, the dove's nest, It is actually the story from where the fly has been taken from. So we'll come to that. Now you can see it's more than 15 minutes, and you can see the list of the works. Go through it, have a look. I'll be sharing this uh, link to you, and in the next presentation I will come back again with the short story The Fly, this one. So this will be our topic of the next class, which was written in the year 1922. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe my channel. I hope you find it useful. I'm a bit exhausted, but still I have to do my work. I hope you like it. Thank you again.